Atlanta United Fan TV, really not what we wanted to see today. We were all prepared to, be celebrating, but this is something that I think was in the cards. It was a very tough last matchup, especially against a Toronto FC. That's definitely, a rivalry for sure. And, Red Bulls had a relatively easier matchup with Orlando. It was pretty much, we could see it happening. But to see it happen in this way, I don't think we could have foresaw.
No, I mean, I would have felt like we would have at least gotten a result out of it. Yeah, I mean, from there weren't necessarily any signs from the very beginning that it would be this bad. But the first two goals were awful. There's no other way to say it. And it's a player that has been slated time and again. I hope McCann is okay because he eventually came off injured. But should he really have started? Probably not. And he's...
Yeah, I guess learning that Bello was injured and that, Garza comes in, but it's a matter of he has no match fitness whatsoever. And so he was kind of forced into action. I mean, we saw that, it's not quite a ghost of himself, but he's, not quite there yet.
No,
because, he doesn't have any minutes, really.
Yeah, and I know the fourth goal for sure came on the right side. The third one as well, I don't remember. I mean, like they tore up our left side, so that's definitely a worry going into the playoffs. It really does look like Bello's our best option and I hope he's healthy. But yeah, I mean, like the goals, it almost feels more disappointing when the goals just come out of nothing and they change the game. That's no other way to say it.
We weren't clinical. We kept, just hitting post, crossbar. It's a game of inches, and I think we really saw the worst side of that.
Yeah, seeing Joseph miss that chance in particular was shocking. I mean, because that was still in the first half. If it's 2-1 going into halftime, we've seen Atlanta come back from that before. So it's all around, it was just a terrible, terrible performance. And when talking what we talked about before, like you look at the performances against Red Bulls, NYC, Seattle, Portland, and let's throw Toronto in there as the defending champs. Didn't have a good season, but still a tough team. Atlanta did not do well against those teams. DC, after they've been in their form, they've been in elite form since Rooney has arrived.
And opening up Audi Field, once that happened, they have been just torrid.
Yeah, they're a different team completely. So and again, like we went up to Audi Field and lost 3-1. So it doesn't bode well for the playoffs, And I don't mind. I really didn't mind them grinding out results against New England, against Chicago, because that has to happen. You almost appreciate it in a sense, but when you look at the last couple months in totality, going back to that loss against DC, there really haven't been very many good performances. I can think of Colorado and Salt Lake, and that's about it. Other than that, it's been ugly. I think teams have kind of figured out Atlanta. I don't necessarily think it's bunkering either. I would say that they press up on the midfield and just completely take away what Atlanta's trying to do. The stuff with the field, yes, it plays a factor, but they just have to get used. I mean, like, teams are going to do that to them. If they have to play DC, DC's going to grow out the grass. If they have to play Philly, Philly's going to grow out the grass. It doesn't, so they have to learn. They just have it. A performance like this in particular is really like an exclamation point in a negative sense of it doesn't bode well for the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting the feeling that you're thinking we lack that big game mentality, and how do you see us doing in the playoffs, making a cup run? Is that even in the cards for you?
There's no Miggy today. We didn't start with Tito. So I'd have to point to that. I think for sure Miguel is our best player. He's the engine. He helps out on defense as well as get the attack going. So I just hope he's healthy. That's really all I have to say. And we'll see. There are still some favorable matchups, and at least our next matchup will be two legs as opposed to last year. So, but one thing I was excited or optimistic about was we've been road warriors all season. But then again, at Audi Field, at BMO, at Red Bulls Arena, ugly. Yeah. So.
Agreed. Now, Tata Martino announced that he's going to leave at the end of the season. Do you think that was a factor in, the performance today? Or, of course, everybody's saying something about it. And, what are your thoughts?
I think the speculation was more of a distraction than anything else. I said this. I tweeted to you. Like I think the timing of it actually made sense. You know, you do it before this big game, before the playoffs. Like everybody knows, okay, this is it. And there's no reason for that to be on their minds during the game. You know, if anything, if we want to talk about Tata, we can talk about the tactics and the lineup. You know, like maybe not the best. And again, that's something else that over the past couple months has not been the best from him. So I'm just, my only hope, my real hope is that he's been like kind of playing possum with these lineups and you know these tactics and hoping like he's going to do something different in the playoffs, because what he has been doing has not been working, especially against the elite teams, if you want to call them that. So.
No, that would be the greatest you know, magic show ever if that was really the case. But yeah, final thoughts on, I mean, I guess this game, the season. I mean, yeah.
You just have to put this one behind you. It hurts. It really hurts. Like, forget about, because the thing is, they were up a point going into the game, so it's almost like forget about what happens at Red Bull Arena. You have your destiny in your hands. You know, you go out there, you take care of business, and the shield is yours. They missed out on one trophy. They still have a chance to get another. It's still been a good season. They scored the most goals, I think, in history, or...
Yeah, if not, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So 70, only team with 70 goals in the league. So I really just hope they show up. I'm just praying that they show up at this point at whoever they have to play next week. So, yeah.
Appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.